The recording has started, and now I want to turn things over to the rabbi.
They can see you. Yep. And I'm just going to mute our speakers. And you're good to go.
Can you put me up there or not, Rob? That's what I want. So I can see
Maybe.
what I'm doing.
There we go.
That's what I want. Okay, perfect. All right. How many people do we have? Can you check?
We have like 12 or so. It's like 8, 12.
Perfect. All right. Good Shabbos, Chag Sameach. Welcome to my dining room. And we are about to do our 30-minute Seder. Here's a copy of the 30-minute Seder. I don't know if you have it or not, but I will walk you through it. There are certain things that need to be on your Seder plate. And the most important thing, of course, is your matzah. There it is. Your maror, which are your bitter herbs. Your charoset, which is your apples, nuts, and wine, or apples, nuts, and honey. The zeroah, which is your shank bone to represent the paschal lamb. Your beitzah, which is your hard-boiled egg that represents springtime. The karpas, which is the parsley, and your salt water in which to drink. Well, you're not going to drink it, you're really more going to dip it. You don't want to drink salt water. And your cup of wine. Now, there are 4 cups of wine, so either have your bottle of Manischewitz close by, or pour yourself a nice, healthy cup so you can be ready. And we'll begin by lighting our Shabbat and festival lights. So we're going to light our candles, if you have them. This is a good time to do that. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu lahadlik ner shel Shabbat v'shel Yom Tov. Tonight is Shabbat and Yom Tov. And we sing the Shehechianu because we haven't had a Seder in a year. And we like to thank God with the Shehechianu for allowing us to reach this season. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam Shehechianu v'kimanu v'higianu lazman hazeh. And now we get the blessing over the wine. If you have your 30-minute Haggadah, we are on page 8. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam borei pri hagafen. We praise you, Adonai, our God, creator of the universe, who creates for us the fruit of the vine. Now, you're supposed to drink this reclining. I'm not going to recline because I'm standing here, but have your first cup of wine. The next thing is washing of the hands. Everyone now washes their hands either at the sink or the table by pouring water onto their hands into a basin. We have a 2-handled hand washer. If you want to use one-handled, or if you have one of these, they're great for washing your hands. We're not washing our hands necessarily because they're dirty, but we wash our hands to have a separation from the holy to the profane, or in this case, from the profane to the holy. The Seder is a holy event, not that what we do during the week is profanity, but we want to show a separation before we do something that's holy. Okay, now we're going to dip a little karpas, or the vegetable, into the salt water. Here is your parsley. If you have it on your Seder table, you can dip it into your salt water, and when you're done dipping, we say the blessing. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam borei peri ha'adamah. Blessed are you, Adonai, our God, creator of the universe, who provides for us the fruit of the earth. Now, let's get our matzah. This is a matzah cover that has 3 sides to it, so we can break the matzah into 3 pieces. Take your matzah, 1, 2, 3. They don't have to be equal. They go into your matzah cover, if you have one, the 2 pieces, and the 3rd piece is the afikomen. I am going to go hide the afikomen. Maybe one of the cats will find it. Excuse me for a second. Okay, my afikomen is hidden, and if your afikomen is hidden, we can get to the story of the Passover, the Magid. Magid means story. It comes from the same word as Agadah, meaning story, or the word for Haggadah, which means the story of Passover. Okay. The broken matzah is lifted for all to see. We're going to lift up our matzah. This matzah is a symbol of affliction and poverty. The story of Passover tells us about the hardships and suffering that our ancestors endured. It reminds us of those who are in need today. So we say, whoever is hungry, come share our food and celebrate Passover. To those who are poor or oppressed, we pray for them and hope that the coming year will bring a better life to all. And we say, Amen. Now, pour your 2nd cup of wine, but don't drink it. You have it in preparation. It's something that we do before the 4 questions. I'm going to sing them. The melody should be familiar to you. If you know it, please join with me. Ma nishtana halayla hazeh mikol halelot, mikol halelot, shebechol halelot anu ochlim chametz u'matzah, chametz u'matzah. Halayla hazeh kulo matzah. Halayla hazeh kulo matzah. Shebechol halelot anu ochlim she'ar yerakot, she'ar yerakot. Halayla hazeh moror, moror. Halayla hazeh moror, moror. Shebechol halelot ein anu matpilim, afilu pa'am echad, afilu pa'am echad. Halayla hazeh shetef amim. Halayla hazeh shetef amim. Shebechol halelot anu ochlim ben yoshvin uven mesubin, ben yoshvin uven mesubin. Halayla hazeh kulanu mesubin. Halayla hazeh kulanu mesubin. And in English, why is this night different from all other nights? On all other nights, we may eat chametz and matzah, but on this night, only matzah. On all other nights, we may eat many vegetables, but on this night, only maror. On all other nights, we don't dip even once, but on this night, we dip twice. And on all other nights, we eat either sitting up or reclining, but on this night, we all recline. Now, here are the answers. The 4 questions are, in fact, not 4 questions at all. They are 4 statements that clarify the main question of the Seder. Why is this night different from all other nights? This night is different from all other nights because on this night we tell the story of Passover as inscribed in the book of Exodus. This night is also different because we participate in rituals that have been observed at Passover Seders for centuries by our Jewish ancestors. We remind ourselves every year at this time that we were slaves to Pharaoh in Egypt, and God took us out with a mighty hand and an outstretched arm. If God had not liberated our ancestors from Egyptian slavery, then we and our children and our children's children might still be slaves in the land of Egypt. Even if we know the story well and have told it many times, it is essential to be reminded of the details so we don't forget. By recognizing the oppressions of our enslaved ancestors, we gain a greater appreciation of the freedom we enjoy today. As we participate in the rituals of the Seder, we should not only make sure the story of Passover is told and the significance of each of the components of the Seder, but we should also engage children in the proceedings. The children are encouraged to ask questions regarding the rituals of the evening. If they don't, the elders take on the role of teacher and explain using language appropriate to each child's ability to understand. So let's talk about the four children. Years ago, we called them the four sons. Now we are enlightened people. We call them the four children, and this is their story. The four children, the wise, wicked, simple, and too young to ask. Most of us have shown qualities of the four children in our lives at one time or another. Because we all learn in different ways at our own pace, when sharing the meaning of Passover with children, it's important to approach them in a way that best suits their ever-evolving personalities and abilities to learn. We begin with the wise child. The wise or studious child likes to study and analyze the details. This child needs to be given the tools to discover the meaning of Passover on their own and explain to them why it's important to retell the story of the Exodus each year. The wicked or rebellious child probably wants little to do with Passover and exclude themselves from getting involved. A typical response can be, "What has this got to do with me?" Explain that Passover is the celebration of the freedom we all enjoy. Since this child usually lacks empathy, ask questions to get them involved, such as, "How would it feel if you were a slave and then freed by God?" The simple child is a child who is easily overwhelmed, so give the simple child a simple explanation. Don't confuse them with details. Instead, tell them the basic facts of the story and explain the general meaning of Passover in terms that they can understand. And the child too young to ask. Maybe they're too young to form a question or unable to ask one because they simply don't understand. Perhaps this child of God may be an adult that lacks the capacity to speak or lives with some other disability. Treat them with love, understanding, and patience, and explain the meaning of Passover in terms they can relate to. Try telling stories or singing songs and make it a festive time. Now, the matzah is covered and the wine is lifted as the following paragraph is recited. Throughout the ages we have endured, for not only has one risen against us to annihilate us, but in every generation, God, the Holy One of blessing, rescues us from their hand. Put the cup down, don't drink, because we get to talk about the story and about let my people go. We weren't always slaves in Egypt. We became slaves. And the story of how we became slaves to the Pharaoh in Egypt and ultimately how we were freed is the basis of the story of Passover. It's a part of history that belongs to all of us. By telling this story year after year, we are ensuring that we will never forget our oppression or our freedom. As with most of religious history, The story has been passed on from generation to generation, and tonight, especially if there are no children present, you're perpetuating an important ritual. Many years ago in the land of Egypt, Joseph, the son of Jacob and Rachel, was sold into slavery by his brothers. Joseph was skilled and intelligent and soon became an official in the court of the Egyptian Pharaoh. Joseph could interpret dreams, which he sometimes used to predict the future. He offered the Pharaoh the prediction of an upcoming famine, which the Pharaoh heeded. Because of Joseph's timely advice, he saved the land from a great famine. Pharaoh invited the Jewish people to stay when Joseph's family came to Egypt searching for food. They lived for many years in peace and became known as the Israelites. Years later, a new Pharaoh came to rule. He didn't remember Joseph and all he had done for the Egyptians. He saw that the Israelites' population was growing and feared that in a war they might side with the enemy and be a danger to Egypt. To remove this problem of the Israelites, Pharaoh had them enslaved. He forced them to work hard building cities and palaces, baking bricks and carrying stones in the desert heat, and they knew neither peace nor rest, only misery and pain. To limit their population, Pharaoh decreed, "Every boy born to an Israelite woman shall be drowned in the river." In an effort to save their baby, Amram and Yochebed, a Jewish slave couple, hid their baby in a basket on the riverbank. When Pharaoh's daughter, the princess, came down to the river to bathe, she found the baby, took him home, and called him Moses. Moses became the adopted son of the princess, and he had a rich life living in the palace. And yet one day, when he was tending his sheep, he came upon a bush that was on fire, and he heard the voice of God. God told Moses that he needed to free the Israelite people and to save them from slavery in Egypt. Now we get to the 10 plagues. The 10 plagues are about what happened when Moses returned to Egypt to say, "Let my people go," to the Pharaoh. He went to the Pharaoh with his brother Aaron, and they demanded that the Israelites be freed. But Pharaoh had a hardened heart and refused. Through Moses, God brought forth 10 plagues on the people of Egypt. The plagues at first amused the Pharaoh, but soon frightened him greatly. The Pharaoh promised to free the slaves several times, but God hardened the Pharaoh's heart many times, and each time he agreed to free the Israelite slaves, Pharaoh went back on his word. If you have your Haggadah and can find the words to go down Moses, in this Haggadah, they're on page 28, and we will sing them together. When Israel was in Egypt land, let my people go. Oppressed so hard they could not stand, let my people go. Go down, Moses, way down in Egypt land, tell old Pharaoh, let my people go. Thus saith the Lord, bold Moses said, let my people go. If not, I'll smite your people dead. Let my people go. Go down, Moses, way down in Egypt land. Tell, O Pharaoh, let my people go. As Israel stood by the waterside, let my people go. By God's command it did divide, let my people go. Go down, Moses, way down in Egypt's land. Tell old Pharaoh, let my people go. Okay, now we get to the 10 plagues. And when we recite the plague, we take a drop of our wine with our pinky and put it onto either the Seder plate or your plate that you're going to have your food as we say each plague. They are the following: blood, frogs, lice, wild beasts, cattle plague, boils, hail, locusts, darkness, and killing of the firstborn. And finally, after the plagues, the Israelites were truly set free. As a way of giving praise to God and showing appreciation for all the blessings given us, we sing Dayenu. It would have been enough, and we are grateful. After each time we sing a verse, everyone present proclaims Dayenu. Dayenu is in your book on page 29. If you don't have this particular Haggadah, it is in every Haggadah, and we'll sing together. Ilu Hotzianu, mi Mitzrayim, Hotzianu, mi Mitzrayim, Dayenu, 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 Dayenu. Ilu natan lanu et Torah, natan lanu et Torah, Dayenu, 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 Dayenu. Ilu natan lanu et Shabbat, natan lanu et Shabbat, Dayenu, 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 Dayenu. Well, I know you've been waiting for that second cup of wine. Now we get to have it. Let's do the blessing together. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam borei pri hagafen. Blessed are you, Adonai, our God, creator of the universe, who creates the fruit of the vine. And now the symbols of Passover. One of Judaism's greatest scholars, Rabbi Gamliel, decreed that the Seder is not complete unless we explain the meaning of the three main symbols of Pesach, Matzah, and Moror. The Pesach is the roasted shank bone. This bone represents the mighty arm of God that convinced the Egyptians to free the slaves. It also represents the Paschal lamb that was used as a special sacrifice in the days of the ancient temple in Jerusalem. And now, the blessing of the matzah. There are two blessings for the matzah. There's the matzah blessing and there's the motzi. So we'll take the matzah and we'll say, Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, hamotzi lechem min haaretz. We bless you, Adonai, our God, creator of the universe, who brings forth bread from the earth. And before we eat the matzah, we say, Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kiddeshanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu al achilat matzah. Blessed are you, Adonai, our God, creator of the universe, who makes us holy with your commandments and instructs us to eat matzah. Now you can eat some matzah. We eat this matzah, for it is not only commanded in the Torah by God, 7 days shall you eat unleavened bread, but the matzah also symbolizes the unleavened bread our ancestors ate in the desert, and in their great haste while they were fleeing Egypt. Because they didn't have time to allow the dough to rise, they were forced to bake their dough before it leavened and eat it in the form of hard, flat crackers, which we call matzah. Now, let's take a look at the bitter herbs. We have them right here on our Seder plate. Take a spoonful of the bitter herbs, and you can add the charoset, which is the apples, nuts, and honey, or apples, nuts, and wine, that symbolizes the mortar of the bricks, and we put them together, and we say, Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu al achilat moror. Blessed are you, Adonai, our God, creator of the universe, who makes us holy with your mitzvot and commands us to eat bitter herbs. And now we get to the Hillel sandwich, which is where you can take 2 pieces of matzah, put some bitter herbs and choroset together, and you can eat them in a sandwich. If you have a moment to take care of that, while you're doing that, we're going to get ready for the 3rd cup of wine. Hold up your Kiddush cup, and we say, Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam borei pri hagafen. Blessed are you, Adonai, our God, creator of the universe, who creates the fruit of the vine. We'll take a sip. Now, there's a special cup for Elijah. Ours is sitting in the other room. And it says, someday the prophet Elijah will return to earth to lead the way for the age of peace. In the spirit of Passover, as a celebration of freedom, we welcome Elijah into our home and to our Seder. I've opened the door for Elijah. Elijah's place is right there, waiting near the back door of the house. And we sing Eliyahu Hanavi, which is on page 29 of your Haggadah. Eliyahu Hanavi, Eliyahu Hatishbi, Eliyahu, Eliyahu, Eliyahu Hagiladi, Bimhera veyamenu, Yavo Aleinu, Imashiach ben David, Imashiach ben David, Eliyahu Hanavi, Eliyahu Hatishbi, Eliyahu, Eliyahu, Eliyahu Hagiladi. We get ready for the 4th cup of wine. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam borei pri hagafen. Blessed are you, Adonai, our God, creator of the universe, who creates the fruit of the vine. We're almost ready for the meal, but before we get to the meal, it's traditional in many families to serve hard-boiled eggs dipped in salt water as a symbol of spring and the beginning of new life. As with many of the symbols used at the Seder, the egg has another meaning. It reminds us of the Jewish midwives who showed bravery in refusing to follow Pharaoh's demand that every baby boy born to an Israelite woman shall be drowned in the river. This brave action ensured the survival of the Jewish people. At the conclusion of the meal, the afikomen, which means dessert, is found by someone at the Seder, often by giving hints from the children who may be looking for it now. When you're done eating, ask anybody who is available to try to look for the afikomen, and then the afikomen is eaten for dessert. And at the end of our Seder, before our meal, we say, L'shana haba'a b'Yerushalayim, next year in Jerusalem. And it's time now for your Seder meal. I wish you all Shabbat Shalom, Chag Sameach, a good, sweet, and happy Passover. Thank you for being part of our Zoom Seder.
Shabbat Shalom and happy Passover, Peter and everyone else.
Thank you, Rabbi. Thank you,
Happy
everybody.
Passover. Happy
Thank
Passover.
you.
Thank you.
Shabbat Shalom. Happy Passover.
Shabbat Shalom.
Thank
you, Rabbi.
Bye. Thanks, Rabbi.
Thank you. Bye. Happy you were here.
Bye.
Bye-bye.